will be the last man introduced, and he's dominated for the USA in the semi-finals. But the two men that joined him on the podium in London, the Olympic champion, got his Olympic gold, China's Chu Bo, and Great Britain's superstar Tom Daley, both struggled there into this final finish as spectators semi. Of Russia. Certainly a medal opportunity for him if he can just hit those finishes. He's been a little bit ragged on those this week. Joined him on the podium in London when he got it in super him. If he Sasha Klein, very good in a synchro context. He has won gold medals. Then from Germany, the experience of Sasha Klein, very good in a synchro.
Welcome to the Royal Suite. It's £6,900 per night.
All right, see you later.
I just wanted to say goodbye to her just in case I pop off my lord.
It's one of the hardest things I've done.
Well, his person knows what he wants.
Bloke on the bus started screaming and shouting, we're going to hell. I told him, you're not going to hell, we're going to Wilford.
And silvers and bronzes across the board at major championships. He does have a medal. Ivan Gar can hit.
Happy, very short. We're already passing through.
Thank you very much.
So we're all set for an afternoon of sport with the Women's Euro 2013 final at 2:20 and later live Challenge Cup Rugby League at 5:45. First though, BBC Two takes the plunge with Helen Skelton.
So he should do. He has been in quite phenomenal form.
He had that massive dive, 109.109B.
Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage of the World Diving Championships taking place in Barcelona. It has been a fantastic week for the girls flying the flag for British diving. Sarah Barrow, Tonya Couch, Hannah Starling have performed brilliantly, but today is all about Tom Daley. He struggled through the preliminary rounds, he struggled through the semi-finals, but he is in the finals. Leon Taylor, Olympic silver medalist from 2004, is with me to discuss Tom Daley's injury-based drama over the last few days. But first, let's hear from Tom himself. He caught up with Karen Pickering after the semi-finals yesterday.
Better and better.
When you wake up on competition day with sore triceps, it's just the worst thing that can happen because there's so much force that goes through them. And yeah, but I've had to work with the medical team and they've been so good. After each round in the prelim, kind of like nursing me back together, compressing it, making sure that it was raised above my head to reduce the swelling. And so it's been a bit of a tough one and a bit of a painful morning, but I got through and by doing just enough.
Is it getting any better?
Well, at the moment it's hard to kind of get better when I'm still diving on it, so I'm just going to have to make sure that I rest this afternoon, and to be honest, anything can happen in diving, so it's going to be a tough one because everyone's diving really well, and with this tricep injury and the preparation that I've had, being injured pretty much all year, it's just going to be one of those competitions where I just have to go into it and just give it my best shot, knowing that it's kind of a miracle to even be able to compete.
And there was a couple of dives it seemed you were struggling, and yet on the final dive, when you needed something big, it was there. It was there.
That's the reason why I put that reverse 3.5 towards the end of my list, or the last dive, because like people when I did the Olympics, because it was the lower degree of difficulty, people were kind of like criticising me a little bit about why did you put that at the end, because it was a lower degree of difficulty.
Which obviously hampered the amount of training he could do. Then he got going, injured his shoulder, so he had to take time out for that. Then it seemed recovered from that one, just about recovered from the virus, and his tricep, had a tear in his tricep, which is actually the injury that's plaguing him here. So he recovered from it. That's an injury which requires lots of rest. So he's resting, which is frustrating because all you want to do is get in and train. And then it's gone again these past few days, and that's what we see him with the big ice, strapped to him, just trying to, the medical team treating him in between each of his dives.
How significant is that tricep tech, because, you know, in most walks of life you think, oh, it's a sore arm, but obviously he's a guy who needs his triceps.
Yeah, that's right. So if you can imagine entering the water, which is the most important part of the dive, you need to be able to lock your arms out, and that's the one thing that Tom isn't able to do at the moment, because the tricep is that inflamed, which is why he's got the ice, why he's compressing, because to get into the water with absolutely no splash, the rip entry, you need to be able to lock out your arms, and of course to perform a handstand, which is the dive we're going to see Tom Daly opening with, you need to be able to lock out your arms there, so it is tough for him. He's going to tough it out today, he'll be in a bit of pain, and let's see how he goes.
There have been some surprising results so far, haven't they? How much of that is down to the fact that this is an outside competition?
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that one of the Chinese divers, Lin Yui, who came fourth in London, didn't even make it through to this final, and Chu Bo, defending world champion, qualified just one spot above Daly in 6th place. In fact, he was in 18th position after the first 2 rounds of the semi-final, which is actually in dead last place, which is very unusual. Outdoors, Pros Open, you know, unique factors. Sunshine reflecting off the water, you could be standing in the sunshine and then you're diving into the shade, which is a bit disorientating for the divers. And the wind, it was a bit windy yesterday, so if you're balanced on the end, on your tip
well, that inward can sometimes be of concern when you see the divers go past the platform, but that looks safe enough from Alexander.
Yeah, good distance, position now.
Come to international duty fairly late.
Alan, thank you very much indeed. Welcome to the what must be the best backdrop in sport in Barcelona. Real top of the form diving event, the real prestigious one. Everybody wants to win it. Tom Daly won it in Rome in 2009. Chu Bo won it in 2011 in Shanghai. And of course the big gold went to David Budaya, who we'll see at the end of the 12. Tom Daly coming up in a couple of divers' time. This is Sergei Nazin of Russia. Already we've seen Vadim Kaptur with solid 8s on his 3.2, 76.8, and Bondar with 72. And Nazin for Russia, one of the newer members of the Russian team. They've got through a few of their 10-meter and 3-meter divers over the years, and he comes up with a relatively low score compared to the others so far, 68.80. So Kaptur has the early lead, and here is the youngest of the competitors. It's always a case pretty much that Tom Daly was the youngest of the 12 when he made a final, but here's a diver who is 1 year younger than he, Andrea Cherubini from Italy, with an inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck. It's worth 3.2, and we'll explain for newcomers to diving how the scoring system works after we've seen this dive from Cherubini. Remember, the top 2 marks and the bottom 2 marks are discarded. We look for the 3 in the middle to be multiplied by the degree of difficulty. That's how we get the final score. That's how we get 60.80. Just waiting for the confirmation on your screen of Andrea Cherubini's opening dive. Not quite the solid dive he was hoping for with that inward 3.5. So at the moment it is Vadim Kaptur who's had the best of starts. And Tom Daly will be up next, Leon, after seeing Yenkler Aguirre with his 3.0. For 3.5 somersaults for the Cuban, we have 2 Mexicans and 2 Russians involved in this competition. Here's the 1 Cuban.
Well, good start from Yenkler. Probably one of the surprises to make it through. Fantastic experience over the years, starting to pay dividends. He's here in the final. Forward 3.5. This is very low degree of difficulty compared to what we're going to be seeing this afternoon. So it needed to be good. You can see they're maybe just going in slightly over a vertical. I love this drop camera shot. There we go. He's losing his trunks there as he went in. But, see what the marks are.
Well, 63 total it is, 7 to account for Yenkler Aguirre. And remember, we'll see that super slow-mo with the divers almost superimposed against the backdrop. Hopefully they might use it on Tom Daly next. Here's his first round dive. Now, a big disparity between his preliminary dive on this and his semi-final dive. And here we go with the arm stands. Leon, you and I have talked about this a lot over the years. I always think arm stands outdoors should be worth more than they are. However, on this occasion, it won't be. It will be worth 3.5. Opening dive for Daly is an arm stand back triple somersault. He got 59.5 on the preliminaries. That wasn't good. 89.25 in the semis, much better. So we're looking for something along the lines of the semi-final dive, the 89.25. Not the biggest dive for Daly, that will come in round number 4, but a pretty big tariff to start off with. And he has changed his diving order around. You'll notice not an arm stand in the Olympics, but it is now 3.5.
Oh, not quite as good as his semi-final effort. Just letting the dive over-rotate as he goes in. Andy Banks left of screen there, clapping. There's the team supporting Tom. Let's bear in mind he is under pressure, lots of pain in that tricep, and doing a handstand, pushing off the diving board, just a little weak on the takeoff, over-rotating slightly. Much better than the prelims. There we are. There's the super slow motion. You can see the strain coming in there, squeezing in, heavily strapped on the tricep. Tom waiting for the scores there, walking off, and there they are.
71.75. No strength on the takeoff there. You saw that with the hands. He was trying to leave the platform, and there's just no real rigidity in those hands he left. But anyway, let's have a look at what turned out to be the story of the day yesterday, because this man was 18th midway through the competition, the defending champion from Shanghai 2 years ago. Second at the Olympic Games. Here's Chubo, opening dive, inward 3.5 somersaults with pike. It's worth exactly the same tariff as we've just seen from Tom Daly, 3.5.
Oh, short of vertical as he goes in. Now, let me just put this in perspective. He is the only diver crazy enough to do this dive. Inward 3.5 pike. Look how close his toes have to come to the platform for him to make this dive. He short of rotation here in the prelims. He was right over onto his back. He's taking a high risk, and it's not paying off for Chubo. The defending, look at that pike shape. His ankle's just above his forehead there in that super deep pike shape. Wow.
71.75, exactly the same mark that Tom Daly got. Same degree of difficulty, 3.5, different dive obviously, but exactly the same mark. So joint third at the moment, Daly and Chubo. Vadim Kaptor with that very good opening dive, 76.80 to start with. Now, German Sanchez, one of the two Mexicans who has not got a 4.1 in his program this time. He did do a 4.1 in London, and actually at the World Student Games recently as well, World University Games, but opting not to go for the 4.1, he'll start with a 3.3. It's a back 3.5 somersaults with tuck for the first of the two Mexicans. We'll see Ivan Garcia going up just before David Budaya at the end of round 1.
Oh, very good from Sanchez, maybe throwing up a little bit more splash than he has been. There we are, the crowd enjoying the fantastic, slightly warm atmosphere in Barcelona. Look at that backdrop. But anyway, German just moving away from the diving board a little bit. So that struggles as he goes into the water, washing long, as we call that in diving. So the judges won't be going above 7.5, I don't think, on that one. Trying to save the dive by arching his back as he goes in. Yep, 7s.
Yep, 70.95, the 7s and 7.5 count. Now, mentioning Ivan Garcia, as I did, the other Mexican, when he comes up, he does 3.7, 3.8, and a 4.1. Now, if he's on his game today, nobody will touch him with those kind of figures, but he has to do all of those. It's a very high-risk tariff for him. 3.2 for Viktor Minibayev, inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck, opening dive for the Russian.
Well, no one's really going for it today. Look at the disappointment in the crowd there from the Russian team support, some of the coaches. Minibayev looking good in training. Everyone looks a little bit nervous, leaving his dive slightly short of vertical. Not the opening he'd have been looking for. This is one of his easiest dives. In fact, it is its easiest dive at 3.2 degree of difficulty. You can see the disappointment on his face there. Frustrating. Wow, low scoring final so far. What's happening?
Well, hasn't got going yet, has it? 70.40. Now, Sasha Klein, in both the prelims and the semi-finals, could not get this dive right. And then he got better afterwards. Now, he's done very well on the basis of not being able to get round 1 right. All the other 5 have gone right. Now, if he gets this right, it puts him in prime position. So Sasha Klein's opening dive, in with 3.5 somersaults with tuck. 50 marks yesterday, not today.
Oh, that's his best one. Much better. So Sasha wants a piece of this final. He's the only one in round 1 so far. Of course, the dive is still to come. That's actually done a dive worth commentating on. He's probably been a little... This is what we're here to see. This is the World Championship final, a year after the Olympic Games in London. This is the diving we wanted to see, but you can just see that sunshine reflecting off the water there. Now, that glare makes it very difficult to know where the water is. Coach saying, just chill, 5 more dives to go. Sasha waiting for his marks there very patiently, but much better.
Even on his best dive yesterday, 86.40, he goes clear by 8 points. Even on his best dive yesterday, his coach looked like he had a face like thunder. He never got into it. He had one fantastic 90-plus dive. Now, Ivan Garcia, I mentioned earlier on, 3.7, another 3.8 and a 4.1. Only 2 divers will do a 4.1 in this competition. That is Chubo. Slightly different dive to what we'll see from Ivan Garcia, but in the days when Leon was diving, never got up to 4s. We're up into the 4.1s now. That will come later. Opening dive for Ivan Garcia is a big one, though. It's a lot. 4.5 somersaults in this.
Oh, he's not on his game either. It's a big opening dive. In fact, he's got big dives upon big dives, but the forward 4.5 somersaults, 3.7 degree of difficulty. Takeoff looks good, and he spins like a spinning top, squeezing into that tuck shake. All looks good. Maybe coming out a little bit early, put off by the reflection on the water, who knows? But lots of the divers, that's 10 out of 11 so far, who have been off. See how short a vertical he was going in. You can tell by the expression on the oh, frustration through and through.
The only thing is, because his tariffs are so high, he can pick it up. But look at that, 64.75, 5.5s in there, and it's not the start that Ivan Garcia wanted. Now, this man was very consistent all the way through. There's Greg Louganis looking on at David Budaya. 3.6, pretty high tariff to start off with him. It's the arm stand back, double somersault, 2.5 twists. And there's not too much wind around today in Barcelona compared to yesterday. Yes, he was quite breezy, and it was at one stage the wind was face on. Now it's behind the diving board. It's just rippling a little bit, but easy enough for David Budaya to get himself settled. His legs still waving around a bit.
Well, that's why he's Olympic champion. Watching all the other divers, apart from Sasha Klein, falter slightly. Budaya starting with the arm stand. A little wobbly, maybe lifting up. But once he gets going here, he wraps into those 2.5 twists. Sees the water, punches a hole with the hands there. All important, splashless entry, maybe a little bit too splashy for 9, so that should get 8.5s. You see his expression, slight grimace. Would have liked something a bit better, but that is okay.
Well, he goes into the lead, yeah, 91.80. High tariff dive, of course. 8.5s across the board will count towards the total. So the leader from yesterday continues to be the leader going into the first round of the final here. And you can see Tom Daly is on the leaderboard. He's in the top 5 anyway. Not a great opening round, pretty much from anybody there. Budaya and Klein accepted. Captor, Bondar and Daly. And waiting for the ones at the bottom, maybe to make a bit of a move. Ivan Garcia, very disappointing opening dive for him, 64.75, but he does have that 3.8 and, of course, that 4.1. As we get to look at the bird life in Barcelona, which, of course, Leon's been enjoying too.
Indeed, such a stunning, stunning venue. 10 years ago, Barcelona 2003 World Championships, I was there competing, and I also had a tricep injury, so it must be something to do with Barcelona and British diving. But
well, I know you've been mentoring Tom, but you don't need to mentor him on injuries as well,
no,
do you?
Definitely not.
Round 2 then, opening dive for Vadim Kaptur of Belarus. A really good start, nice solid opening from the Belarusian. Let's see how his arm stand looks. Arm stand forward, double somersault, 1 twist.
That's an impressive dive from Vadim. He's only 3.1 degree of difficulty. He will be outclassed today when it comes to the degree of difficulty. But this is pretty spectacular. Look at that gymnastic ability. His head coming a little closer to the tower as he almost does a head spring into the dive. The 1 twist, but that's straight up and down diving. Look, in fact, from that angle, it looks as though he does put his forehead right on the diving board. Wow, look at that spectacular super slow motion.
Yeah, 2 good solid rounds there from Vadim Kaptur. Only just made it into the final. but they're good marks for him. 75.95 for the man from Belarus, Alexander Bondar. Second up in round number 2. Here's a big one for him. Already seen this once from Ivan Garcia. Forward 4.5 somersaults, 3.7 with tuck.
Oh, that's much better than Garcia's. Well, when he goes in the water, he's got his backside sticking out slightly, which takes away from that perfect line. However, he was pretty vertical, straight up and down, really good splashless entry. 3.7. When you're getting the big marks on this, because of the way that diving works, you get the scores from the judges multiplied by the degree of difficulty to give you your total. That's going to put him up there, especially with a shaky start for most people.
Coach likes it. Does Bondar like it? Not giving too much away on that. 7.5 is an 8. 85.10. Yes, he's definitely in the mix off the back of that. Sergei Nazin of Russia. As the new generation of Russians emerge. He's a man who very much did emerge. Didn't start particularly well in the prelims. Got himself going and got much better as the semi-finals went on. Back 3.5 somersaults with pike for Nazin, and this will be worth 3.6 in degree of difficulty.
Oh, landed on his shoulders, really. It's a pretty good takeoff. I've been watching him in training. He's got some really classy dives. Just seems to falter a little bit when it comes under the pressure. Takeoff is good, moving away from the diving board, good safe distance, just letting go of his pike shape a little bit early, landing short of vertical as he goes in. The splash goes backwards towards the diving board that he just took off from. Look at this, squeezing in, beautiful background. So let's watch the dive. It's almost superimposed on that. Look at that, squeezing into the pike shape. Maybe needs to be a little bit tighter in that pike shape. In the scores.
Yeah, not good. A couple of judges reading like that, 4.5, but the 6s will count along with the 5.5s. So that's not terribly good and won't help Sergei Nazin. Now here comes the youngest competitor in the competition from Italy, 18 years of age, Andrea Cherubini. He's for this World Championships. And here comes a dive you're becoming familiar with, forward 4.5.
Oh, he was diving out of his skin in the prelims, and I must admit, you know, he was a surprise to me to be in the final. There his teammates, Michele Benedetti there, just a little frustrated, you can see on their faces. Takeoff is good, spinning in the tuck shape. Head position looks good, so he should see where he is, but he just ducks his chin as he goes into the water, which causes him to over-rotate. Oh, the frustration of the crowd. You know, they're almost doing the dive with the divers, but 18 years old in his first World Championship final. Good effort from the young Italian.
Pretty good, and others are faltering around him, so it's not a lost cause yet for Cherubini, but not quite the marks he was looking for. Yankle Aguirre will ramp it up to 3.3 from his opening dive, which was a 3.0. Here comes a back 3.5 somersaults with tuck. 11th place after round number 1, but really not too much to separate any of the 12, really. So it looks like we're starting afresh in round number 2.
Yeah, not Jankler's favourite dive. He prefers the dives where he's rotating forward, so that could be the forward or the inward or maybe the twist. So when he can't see where he's going, and you definitely can't see where you're going on back 3.5, you can only see where you've been. The diver counts the somersaults, points the toes up towards the 10-metre, but just a little bit too high with his toes. There's Jose Guerra, fantastic diver himself, supporting the younger teammate. And not so good for Jankler today.
56.10, out way too early on that. Back 3.5 somersaults and just didn't quite spot the water. Now, Tom Daly, 5th place. Decent, solid, if not spectacular opening from him. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck, and again, we're looking for the mark he got in the prelims, 86.40. If he could do that, he'll definitely be up there in contention. Fell off in the semis over the 72.
Superb dive from Tom. You can tell by the judges' reaction, not the judges, the coaches' reaction. There are the teammates. That's just what we needed from Tom. Second round, venturing slightly on the first, as did many others. Let's see, strong takeoff, squeezing into that tuck shape, spots the water, lines up, locks out his arms as best he can. A little bit more splash than we're used to from Tom Daly. But look at the expression, look at all the muscles rippling there, squeezing into that tuck shape so hard. Yeah, waiting for the marks. What will it be?
Well, as it turns out, somewhere in between the semis and the prelims, 81.60. There was quite a high mark in there. It was, I think, it was a 9, but that gets discounted along with the lower marks. So Daly, for the time being, up into second place behind Alexander Bondar of Ukraine. So, all right from Tom so far. 2 decent openings. Now, Chubo onto his arm stand back triple somersault. Not a spectacular opening from him. Can he pick it up in round 2? It took him a while to get going yesterday. And round 2 from him.
Oh, no, it hasn't taken him a while to get going today. There we go. Bang on the money from Chubo. That's why he's defending world champion. And I was thinking yesterday, wow, what would he bring his A game today? And after the first round, I didn't think. I thought he left it in his locker, but this is straight out of the top drawer from Chubo. Big degree of difficulty, technically spot on. Cruises that dive. He makes it look so effortless. And here's the reaction. Even the coach is happy. Wow, that must have been good.
Well, we'll find out why it's good in a moment. The crowd have already seen the marks. You will get to see them in a moment. From Chubo, silver medalist in London last year. Ooh, on his way to being gold medalist again here. Defending champion, 9.5s across the board. Takes him 14 points clear of Bondar, 18 points clear of Tom Daly. That's the Mexicans. Here's German Sanchez. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck. As I mentioned earlier on, don't expect him to do the 4.1. He's left that in the locker this time round. And after round number 1, 7th place.
Having a good think about it. A little bit of wind.
Sometimes they're going to be off a tee shortly.
Oh, it's a good time. A little bit scruffy as he went in. Maybe did I see a split in the legs as he went in, just marginally over-rotating. Now, I think the reason he was taking some time is because he does do inward 4.5, and this is only inward 3.5. Now, he has to train both of those dives, and that could be... Imagine if you get confused. Which one am I doing again? That doesn't need to happen. Look at the spring in those legs. The Mexicans were doing such great work in taking diving up to a new level. Well, he got away with the split in the legs there, Bob. Look at that, 8.5.
Yeah, they didn't notice that. 81.60, 8.5s across the board. Now, talking about people who take their time, here comes Victor Minibayev, who never rushes anything. That's probably why he's been so good. Just missed out on the medal in London in 4th place. Here he goes with round 2, and it's that forward 4.5 again. 3.7 degree of difficulty in the tuck position. Currently in 8th.
Oh, yes, pretty good. He launches himself. In fact, on most of his dives, Minibayev likes to launch himself into the middle of the pool. Maybe he needs to swim the opposite direction. Look at this. He launches himself quite far. This makes the dive very difficult to control. And forward 4.5 is very difficult to control anyway. So if you're moving away from the diving board, it's very difficult to stop the dive vertically. You can even see the tape up his back there, obviously suffering with a lower back injury. That is still very good. And this is my dark horse for a medal. I said that yesterday, and I'm going to go with it again today.
All right, judges not overly impressed with that. 7s are okay, nice and solid, but probably will not make any great waves on the top 3. Maloney's in 6th place. Here's my outside bet for a medal. Wouldn't be that much of an outside bet because he's already had a world bronze medal in the past. Sasha Klein, after getting that bogey dive out the way, here comes the 4.5.
Oh, I thought you'd given him the commentator's curse then, because this is the dive he's been struggling with in training. Must have been frustrated with the inward. You can see the coach clapping there. It's always a good sign. Here we are, squeezing in. This is such a difficult dive to control the entry just as Sasha's. He is marginally short of vertical. Here's the cool coach. Oh, he didn't like it. Now, I'm thinking they're only going to give him 7s on this. Is that going to be enough?
7.5s and a 7 for Sasha Klein. Not as good, anywhere near as good as he did in either the prelims or the semi-final. However, it does lift him up into 2nd place, 4 points behind Chubo, and ahead of Alexander Bondar, which drops Tom Daley down to 4th. Now, Ivan Garcia, this is pretty rudimentary for him in terms of the dives he'll do later on. 3.3, a back 3.5 somersaults with tuck for Garcia, who needs to make his move, and he needs to make his move right now.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I did think that he was going to get some difficulty on that dive. He seems to almost kill the rotation. So here he goes. Good takeoff. Squeezes in, but then seems to spin very slowly there. Pops out at the right time. That's good enough. This is a dive that I've seen in training. Is sometimes a bit here and there. That's probably one of his weaker dives. It's certainly one of his lower degree of difficulties. 80 points, he'll be pleased with that.
80.85 to be precise. 8.5s and 8s count towards the total for Ivan Garcia. It doesn't move him anywhere though. He remains in 8th place. Probably will drop down a place or two because of David Budaya now. So drop down 1 place. Budaya needs 79 to go into the lead. Retain the lead he had from the first round. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck for Budaya. Started with a very, very good 91.80. Keeps up that kind of standard. And there's a chance of either Chubo or even Garcia catching him. 3.2 though, this one.
Oh, he held on to that nicely. You can see him in the vacuum as he enters the water and sucks down all the splash with him. He is marginally over as he goes in. Great strong takeoff. Comes out the dive very early, really classy, but just see the ankles washing over them. He does do a forward roll under the water in order to keep the splash down and give the impression to the judges that he wasn't over rotating, but we've got him.
Judges haven't seen it.
There's Leganis, he likes it, but let's see what the judges think.
Judges haven't seen it, I'll tell you that much. I've seen the marks. 8.5s, 9s. They haven't seen the save, if you like, under the water. Very clever stuff. That's why he's Olympic champion. To Budaya then, with a 5-point lead over Chubo, Sasha Klein and Tom Daley holding his own in 5th place. At the moment, 14 points away from a bronze medal. But big dives to come. Rounds 3 and 4 will pretty much sort out the men from the boys, the wheat from the chaff. And we'll see if Ivan Garcia can make that move, because he's still a long way back, but with big tariff dives to come, he can make up that ground. And Chubo, of course, a much better day than he had yesterday. Well, at this stage, it's like he might not even make the final. There's his diving partner, not here. Well, he's there, but he's not here.
Yeah, he blew out in the semi-finals in spectacular fashion. Lin Yue, Olympic 4th place after last year's Olympic Games.
17th he was overall after the semi-finals. Vadim Kaptur, solid start. Here comes his forward 3.5.
Oh, solid dive. Very good 3rd round dive. Forward 3.5 pike. Now, this isn't very common anymore. Lots of people doing the forward 4.5, which is 3.7, and you can see why. This is only 3.0. So mathematically, you're starting behind the starting line almost. It's a good dive from Kaptur, but you know, he keep diving consistently. He'll be there to pick off anyone making big mistakes. But only 72 points.
Yeah, low tariff dives pretty much for Kaptur right across. He has to do everything pretty much on par, if not better. 8 across the board. His highest tariff dive is 3.3. which comes in round 5 and 6. Alexander Bondar has got his 3.7 out of the way, down to 3.6. Here comes the arm stand. Arm stand's coming later in the programme. Tom Daley, of course, using his in the first round. This is the arm stand back, double somersaults, 2.5 twists in the free position, unusually. Bondar here, worth 3.6.
Dive, little bit of helicopter feet as he twists round, got 2.5 twists to do, double somersault, so you're going from your hands on your weighted hands. Here you go, pops in, just loses his feet there, helicopter feet coming through, nails the entry there, managed to sort it out by the end. So let's see if the judges penalise him for losing his feet during the dive, but he gets it all together at the end and manages to keep that entry down. There we go.
Well, he only got 50 points in the semi-final for that dive. Oof. 86.40 for Bondar in the final, so 36-point improvement from where he was. That's going to put him in the first place for the time being. Seen much of this man until this weekend. Still relatively unknown to us, but we're getting to know a bit more about Sergei Nazin of Russia. And round 3, a 3.2 inward 3.5 somersaults. 10th place at the moment, and that's probably Taverage why I won't give it up too much.
Oh, that was a good dive. Just maybe collapsing a little as he went into the water, because it looked as though he was going to go through with the splashless entry. But as we watch the replay here, you'll see maybe just losing the tension in his arms, because as he goes under, the splash starts to throw itself up. You can see all the shadows. I was talking earlier to Helen about the sunlight on the water, diving out of sunlight into the shade. Is that affecting these divers? Because this is poor quality compared to what I was watching from some of the divers in training and yesterday in the semi-final.
Well, remember Rome, don't we, when that shadow came across? We had about 5 or 6 divers who completely missed their dives because the sunlight and the shade completely threw them. Perhaps we're seeing the same here, but they've gone through 3 rounds, and they have obviously done their semi-final dives at approximately the same time as they're doing them today, so that shouldn't have maybe that effect, but absolutely is. Andrea Cherubini of Italy has to think about his arm stand. This one in the tuck position, arm stand back, triple somersault, again worth 3.3.
Or just leaving the dive a little underdone, if you like, coming out a little bit early, landing on his shoulders rather than on his hands. A little bit harsh for me there. Takeoff seemed okay. Great tuck shape, squeezing in. Looks okay. There you can see the water hitting the calves and going back towards. He's having a tough final. He was diving so much better in the prelims and semis, but showing his inexperience now as we go into halfway through round 3.
5.5s times the degree of difficulty. Keeping a long way behind the main protagonist here. Yankler Aguirre of Cuba. He's up to his big dive right at the end of 3.6. It's 3.2, and so most of the divers, you can see, getting their arm stands out of the way. Being outdoors, we'll see what the wind is doing at the moment. Arm stand back, double somersault on our twist. Not a lot of wind at the moment. Working into his face, though, where it is.
Yeah, you can see, oh, overcooked it on the finish there. Only 1.5 twists, so carrying a 3.2 degree of difficulty. Yeah, I think that expression says it all. What are you doing there? Anyway, here we are, flicking off the donkey kick, if you like, to get the rotation. 1.5 twist, then into the repike. This is why it's a free position, because you're not holding a shape for longer than half a somersault. Yeah, I think the reaction says it all. And there's Jankler saying, oh, can't take it back once it's done.
No, you wish you could, but you can't. And 52.80 does not help his cause one iota. Now, Tom Daly. This was a very, very solid dive in the semi-finals yesterday. Spent a lot of time over it too. You don't see Daly hang around too long normally, but a lot of concentration and intent on making sure he got this right. And he needs to do it again today. 3.6 is the degree of difficulty. Back 3.5 somersaults. Now yesterday, in the semi-finals, a massive 93.60. Now if he could do that today, or anything like it, he will definitely secure a top 5 place for now, but look how much intense concentration there is on that face.
Yes, the concentration working well for Daly. Not only did he lead this dive yesterday to make it through, he really needed it today to stamp his authority on this final and put the pressure on the other divers, and he has done just that. That might even get more than the semi-finals. 93 points yesterday, maybe a nudge above it today. Beautiful dive from Daly, heavily strapped on that right tricep, but still managing to get into the water without a ripple of splash. Wow. Good dive, Tom. Well done, Tom.
Come on, judges. We need to know the marks. Well, actually, this is what we look forward to. And Tom Daly superimposed on the skyline of Barcelona.
Exactly. Look at the squeezing into that pike shape. All super, super slow motion. All the strain squeezing in. There we are. Yeah, doing the dive with him. Andy Banks loves it. So does Adi Hinchcliffe. Edwin Young-Young's there as well.
Do we love it? We do. 99. Give me an ice cream. 9.5s and 9s. Tom Daly, you're up there, boy. In fact, you're not only up there, you are leading after that. But don't get too carried away yet, Bob, or Leon for that matter, because there's some big names still to come. And don't get much bigger than the world champion. Chubo, reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck, 3.3. Second after round 2.
Well, completely unfazed by Daly. That will get 10s. Well, it will unless the judges have fallen asleep. That is textbook. Chubo, Olympic silver medalist, but defending world champion, following Tom Daly, going, OK, I'll just completely ignore what you've done, Tom. This is slightly lower degree of difficulty, but he'll be pushing 99 points himself. Perfect 10s will give him 99 points, and my prediction is perfect 10s. So, wow, doesn't get better than that. Amazing. Look at that, squeezing in, knees almost touching his chin, moves his head round. Any young divers at home watching, apart from those boots that he's got on there and his flat feet. Oh, there we go, look at that. There's the reaction.
What do the judges think? Oh, yes. 10, 10, 10. 99 points, exactly the same as Daly, but to repeat, it's not the same degree of difficulty, exactly the same mark, though. So, Chubo keeps his 18-point advantage over Daly. Into second, though, Tom has gone behind the Chinese. Now on to German Sanchez. Another one of the arm stands we'll see. Another one of the 3.3s. Arm stand back, triple somersault with tuck. And Sanchez in 7th place, having to follow 2 exemplary dives from Tom Daly and Chubo. How will he react?
Wow, whatever you boys can do, I can match you. Look at that. Now, I was surprised because, again, the arm stand, a little bit of, you know, added pressure. The trick is not to try too hard, if that makes sense. If you give it too much, you could end up all over the place. And the German there, bang on the money. Now, it won't get 10s, but it should certainly get 9s. Maybe squeeze a 9.5 out of a generous judge. Look at the various tablets there, capturing all the action.
On YouTube in Mexico in no time at all. 9.0s across the board and 89.10 for German Sanchez, and lifts him up for the time being into 4th. Now Leon's outsider for a medal. Can he back it up? I'm saying we've suddenly, after having a fairly indifferent first round, we're having an absolutely superb third round here. Everybody doing what they should do and more. Now Victor Minibyaev, no pressure on you then. Reverse, 3.5 somersaults with tuck for the Russian. And remaining Russian in this round, 3.3 Minibyaev.
Oh, see, now, again, my previous comment on Minibyaev is he's jumping too far away from the diving board. This completely affects the control of the dive. Look how far he leaps away. He can fit 3 people in between him and the diving board. That's excessive distance, and therefore he's landing right over onto his front side there. So as you see, over-rotating, surfs up, and Minibyaev probably out the medals with that.
Does he do that in training?
Yes.
You reckon?
Yeah.
So why is the coach not stopping him do it?
I don't know.
It seems odd because when you come to a world competition like this, or European competition, the judges will take that into account. You're going to get marked down. If you land in the middle of the pool, you're always going to mark down.
It's just difficult to control. If you land in the middle of the pool and nail it, it's fine, but it's very difficult to control. Anyway.
Sasha Klein is in 3rd place after the last round, and a good, solid opening. A good round 2, and let's get those legs sorted out on the arm stand back, triple somersault with pike.
Oh, such a dip, such a big dive, especially Sasha, a little bit taller than some of the athletes. You've got to flick off the diving board. Your toes come incredibly close. You don't want to clip the platform. That's why he puts his boots on, flattening his feet so he doesn't hit the diving board. He does a reasonable job on the entry there. It's a big degree of difficulty. That'll certainly keep him in the hunt, but he's not quite as good as some of the dives we've seen this round. So, yeah, has he seen the marks yet? Are they available?
Quizzical look. No, you'll see them now. 7.5 and 7s will count towards a total of 75.25 for Sasha Klein, which currently puts him in 4th place. Now, I'm waiting for this man to get going because we've given him the big build-up. We've talked about all his big dives. Here comes another big dive. Not a 3.8 or a 4.1. They're yet to come. But here comes a 3.6. Ivan Garcia. So if he can get his game face on and get going, then he will certainly be there or thereabouts at the end. But we're waiting for him to make that move. And here comes his arm stand back, double somersault, 2.5 twists. This is worth 3.6. It's taking a lot of time in getting from the lotus position into the upright position.
Oh, he struggled a little bit there, didn't he? So he's got lots to fit in this dive. You've got to pop up, wrap in 2.5 twists. He was a little bit stuck, so he didn't have enough rotation in order to make it. So he's dropping like a stone. In fact, he needed a 10.5 metre platform to make that perfect. So we're not seeing the Mexican showing some of the form he was showing in the prelims and the semi-final. As he's wrapping his arms there to make sure that he's getting the twisting rotation, he's just too stuck. Frustrating.
Yeah. Well, it took a long time before he started there as well. I'm not sure that the elongated preparation helped a great deal. 7.0 across the board. And he goes, well, pretty much where he's been all the way through, in 7th place. Now, David Budaya, my co-colleague, co-commentator here, Leon Taylor, making that signal towards me as if this is the questionable dive. If something's going to go wrong, it'll go wrong in the forward 4.5, David Budaya.
Oh, not today. Not today. It's a big dive. We've seen a couple of the divers faltering on this one. High risk, 3.7 degree of difficulty. And Budaya solid as a rock. Springy jump into that 4.5 somersaults. Count them if you can. And there he goes. Just a little scruffy faltering on the entry into the water there. He won't get more than 8s for that, but if he does get 8, that's going to keep him very much at the top of the leaderboard, or in the top 3 for sure.
Let's look at the marks very shortly for David Budaya. There's the coach. Yeah, happy enough with it.
Well, halfway.
8, 8 and 8 gives him 88.80. So what does that mean for the overall standing? Look at that. Ooh, hello. Tubo at the top, David Budaya in 2nd, Tom Daly in 3rd place, 9-point advantage over Bonda. But remember, Daly finishes with a 3.3, going back to where we were in Olympic times. It's a lowish tariff dive for Daly to finish with, but it's one that's solid for him. Sasha Klein in 5th, Gemma Sanchez 6th. Garcia not moving. Garcia staying rooted in 8th place, and even with the big tariff dives, he's given himself an awful lot to do.
Yeah, too much to do there, I think, for the bottom end of the field. Finally, we saw some spectacular diving in round 3. Long way to continue. 3 more rounds.
Let's hope round 4 emulates round 3, and we do see the standard continue. And this man has been good all the way through, but his problem, as we mentioned, he doesn't go above a 3.3, and they come in rounds 5 and 6. Another 3.2 for Vadim Kaptur, inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck for the Belarusian, currently in 7th place.
Oh, he's over-rotated on the finish. I've shifted my chair back because sometimes Vadim comes very, very close to the 10 metre on this dive. Fortunately, this time, he is actually a safe distance, would you believe, from the diving board. It does look close to you at home, I'm sure. However, he has been a lot closer to that, and the judges will penalise him.
This is the one he split his head open on a couple of years back. You can see the scar on the top of his head. There you go. That is the dive that... which must be really hard when you're coming back from that, remembering that that is the dive where...
That's why he was fidgeting a lot just before he went, I would imagine.
Well, it didn't work out for him today, and because of his low tariff dives to come, probably not going to be in the mix at the end. This man's not too far away though. 4th place for Alexander Bondar, back 3.5 somersaults with tuck for round 4.
Wow, what a dive! He's doing a little bit of fudging on the finish there, shall we say. Yeah, he's quite funky, kicking out through a pipe position, but absolutely burying the entry into the water. Here we go, back 3.5, can't see where he's going, only see where he comes, just points his feet up, just does a little few adjustments, but he certainly squares it up on the finish. The judges won't give him more than a 9, I would imagine, but that entry was textbook. Wow, the coach knows that may have been a dodgy dive, and he's in 4th. That's pressure on the rest of the field.
Hey, there's a 9.5 in there. Oh, it's one that counts anyway, and 2 9s. Big total for Alexander Bondar, 90.75. Pressure being put on by the man from Ukraine. Sergei Nazin, the divers, a bit like Cherubini, has not backed up what he did in the prelims and the semi-finals thus far. Can change all that around though, with 3 more rounds to go. Round 4, reverse 3.5.
Yeah, look better from Nazin on the takeoff, really strong. He's got lots going on. He's going to be a star of the future. Just faltering here, maybe under the pressure today. That is a superb takeoff. Unlike Minibayev, who jumps to the middle of the pool, perfect distance from the diving board, just over-rotating. He needed to come out of the dive a little bit sooner. You can see pointing his toes up towards us there, when he needed to be a little further away.
6.5 and 6 doesn't really help the cause very much. You've got to be up in the 7s, preferably 8s and possibly 9s here to really have any impact. The standard has improved so much over the last couple of rounds. Andrea Cherubini, the youngster of the 12 from Italy. And here we go. In the back, 3.5 somersaults with tuck. 11th place for the Italian getting experience here.
Oh, that's a little glimpse of what we were seeing in the prelims in the semi-final. He has got a lot to offer. And watching him in training, he's just a little bit inconsistent at the moment. His textbook tuck shape there, really, really good. Just washing over a vertical there. He manages to keep the splash down. That's much better from the young Italian.
Nearly took out the cameraman with him. 7.5s. And the cameraman of a soak as well with that. He will not be in medal contention today. I'm sure in the future we might see him doing that, but not today. Yenkler Aguirre of Cuba, 3.2. He's in the bottom rung of the procession at the moment. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck for Yenkler. As the wind starts to get up just a little bit more in Barcelona.
Oh. The Cuban inward is often renowned. So there's Jose, who's coaching him now. Fantastic diver in his own right, just recently retired. In fact, his last competition was here last week in the synchro. Yenkler taking it to the individual now, just ducking his head slightly, throwing up a little bit of splash. That's why we see the 7.5s.
Not his day today. Now, Tom Daly. Here we go. There's going to be pressure on the arm, on the wrist, on the palms he's got at the moment. Then this will be the one that will test it. 3.7, the biggest one he does. Worth a lot of points, and also worth a lot of problems if he doesn't nail it. So, wish him well. 4.5 somersaults going forward. Tuck. Big dive. In terms of the outcome, where he's going to finish for Tom Daly.
Oh yes, much better. Much better. Yes, well done, Tom. There we go. We were wondering how he was going to hold up, how his tricep was going to hold up. This is his biggest dive. He's absolutely smashed it. Only got 40-something in their semi-finals. It was a complete disaster. That should get 8s from the judges. It's a little bit low on the water to get more than 8, but at a 3.7, that's going to be a big score. Pushing 90 points. Pressure on the rest of the field. Good work, Tom Daly.
53.65 in the prelims, 44.4 in the semis. Yes. He's doubled it. He's doubled his semi-final score, 44 in the semis, 88.80 for Tom Daly. That is a fantastic dive and has given him every single opportunity, every inkling of being in and around the medals. He's #1 at the moment. But to follow him is the defending champion, Chubo, back 3.5 somersaults with pike.
Oh, hello. 102 points. I think he got 102 in the semi-final, and that is even better. In fact, the judges should give him 10s because, wow, what an absolute superstar. It doesn't get better than this. You're watching the Daly versus Chubo show, and Chubo is just topping whatever Tom does. He got straight 10s on his last dive, and then Tom has just nailed his 4.5, and Bo has just got, well, that's perfect to me. That should score way over 100 points, and if it does, then catch me if you can. Oh, there you go.
Well, one judge didn't see it as a 10. There's 9.5 there, but the ones that count did, so 108 points.
Wowee.
Well, but when we get to the 4.1s later on, Leon, you can get over 120 points on those. But on that dive, 108 points. So that gives him a lead over Tom Daly, would you believe, of 37 points.
Wow.
Between first and second. And Tom is diving well. Tom is diving very well, as we just saw. Now, German Sanchez, forward, 4.5 somersaults for tuck. Same dive as Tom Daly.
Oh, you can see how much easier German makes it than Tom. He's just got this ability to spin and spin and spin. And the good thing is he knew exactly where he is. Look at this, pops up into the takeoff, double by board level. Here he comes, out of 4.5, really controlled, beautiful entry into the water. It's only marginally better than Tom's, so therefore 8.5, maybe you'll squeeze a 9. Big dive and great work from German.
Yeah, 1928.5 is a slightly better mark. It's about 8 points better than Tom, 96.20, and lifts German Sanchez to within 4 points of Tom Daley with 2 rounds to go for him.
Punching up.
Arm stand time for Viktor Minibayev. Hasn't made the inroads we expected to do, but he can repair some of the damage done in the previous round with the arm stand back double somersault 2.5 twists in the free position. 3.6 it's worth. Doesn't normally hang around too long, but you don't want to hang around too long in an arm stand before your hands lose any kind of feeling.
That's a nice view from up there.
I don't think he wants to hang around for too long though. On the way down.
Yeah, so you're just seeing a little bit of the brilliance there, just as he goes in, slightly arching in the lower back, which will cost him as he goes in. Just can twist so quickly. This is a great dive for him, but look, he's going in there, just washing over. It's one of his better dives. It'll get 8, but yeah, there you go.
86.4 total marks. 8 will count towards that score, times the degree of difficulty gives him 86.40. 6th position. Sasha Klein, 3.6 is the degree of difficulty on this. Now, if he gets 98, he'll go ahead of Tom Daley. If he gets 94, he'll go ahead of German Sanchez. A lot to ask, though. Sasha Klein's back 3.5.
Oh, he fancies it, though. He's out there, all guns blazing today. And he's been consistent throughout. Still no smile from the coach, but he knows that there's still 2 more dives to go for Sasha. This is one of his biggest ones, 3.6. He has been known to make a little bit of a mess of it. Of course, he stood there next to Patrick Housden and took gold at the a week ago in the synchro, so he's hungry for another World Championship medal, and that's going to keep him very much in the mix.
86.4. Patrick Housden, you mentioned, should have been involved in this competition and withdrew just before the preliminaries. Put in a younger German diver because he did do the 3 earlier in the week and decided it was all too much for him.
Yeah, too many events, feeling a bit sore. Let the younger diver get some experience.
Now, come on, Ivan Garcia, I've given you the big build-up. Haven't backed it up yet. This is a relatively tame dive compared to what's to come in rounds 5 and 6. 3.3, reverse 3.5, and then he goes on to the big stuff.
There, that's much better from Garcia. I think he's left himself a little bit too much to do, but of course, anything can happen. We're diving outdoors. You can see the shadows appearing now, can't you? Jumping out, plenty of distance from the diving board. Knows exactly where he is. Bolt upright, vertical entry, splashless entry. Should get 9s. Will it be enough to close the gap?
Well, I wouldn't write him off just yet, because he's got a 3.8 and a 4.1 to finish with. 85.80. The 4.1 coming in the next round, by the way. It's spectacular if he gets it right. David Budaya, currently in 2nd place, and can't overtake Chubo on this. He'll have to settle for 2nd at best. To do that, he has to get 75s on a reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck. 3.3 degree of difficulty. This needs to be good, David Budaya.
Yeah, he's obviously listening to you, Bob. I don't know whether he's got talk back on. He knew it needed to be good, and so did those in the crowd there. Greg Louganis cheering him on from the stands as always. Budaya, cool, calm and collected, like he was last summer. A little bit washing over a vertical, so probably only going to come away with 8s on that. Could have been better, but he's still consistent. He's the one ticking over nicely. Business end of the field. How's that placing?
79.28 and into 2nd. And by the way, Greg Louganis, you saw, they will be judging the high diving next week in Barcelona. So Chubo with a big advantage over David Budaya. Only 3 points or so between 2nd and 3rd, Budaya to Daley. Then Sanchez is only 4 points behind Daley. And wait for Ivan Garcia to make his move. He's got a 4.1 next, a 3.8 to follow. Might just get up there.
He's got 30 points to make up. That's a big margin, but we'll see.
On a 4.1, get 120.
Oh, we'll see.
You're not convinced?
No, no one's going to score 120. That's it'd be mathematically possible, and that's it.
All right, let's concentrate on the action that is going to unfold in round number 5, penultimate round of the men's 10-meter platform in Barcelona. One full backdrop. In the centre of your picture is Vadim Kaptur of Belarus, back 3.5 somersaults with tuck, currently in 8th position. Here's the
Oh, he's having a great day out there today, just limited by his limited degree of difficulty, if that makes sense. So these are incredibly difficult dives. Back 3.5 in the tuck position is 3.3. That's going to get him close to 90 points. But when you've got the other divers, Tom Daly demonstrating, scoring 99, doing this piked, you know, you're giving away too much. But Vadim is out there, and he's doing really, really well.
Thoughts of Leon Taylor Limited, 8.5s for Vadim Kaptur. And for the time being, he slips in just behind Chubo in second place. Alexander Bondar is not too far away from the top three. He's been solid all the way through. And to continue that solid form, he needs to perform a back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists with pike to the best of his ability. This has a degree of difficulty of 3.6.
Oh, a little bit scruffy, running out of room there. Now that could be costly. He was in 4th place, wasn't he? Was it 4th or 5th place after the 4th round of dives? Now this needed to be good. The twist is okay. Helicopter feet, bit scruffy, bending the knees, landing short and vertical. Looked a bit like a twiglet as he went in there, rather than being straight like a pencil, which is obviously what we're looking for. There we go. Oh, that's costly.
Medal chance is gone, I think, on the basis of that. 395.45, when we're looking at about 520, 530 for medals probably here today. And it's not going to help him a great deal. Sergei Nazin of Russia. And he'll go with the forward 4.5. You've seen this a lot today.
Yeah, and that's how difficult it is. Nazin just proving the point that it is high risk. It's 3.7. The degree of difficulty has been changed on it a few years ago to make it more attractive to the divers to take that risk, and this is why it's risky. You can see him there just maybe slipping on the sun cream. I mentioned earlier, one hand was riding up as he's spinning round, and he ended up short and vertical. Ouch. 4.5s and 5s. That feels like a punch in the chest when you go in like that as well.
Another person who's not going to be making top 5 the way things are looking. Based on that, 4.5s and 5s. They do not help the cause. Andrea Cherubini, keep saying experience. Really has been a great experience up to this stage. Today has been a little bit frustrating for the Italian. He's going to go with a reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck, 3.3 for his penultimate dive.
Yeah, you can just see that he just needs a little bit more work. The takeoff was okay, maybe inexperience shining through. He did all the hard work. Aerial work is good, and then just pops his feet up too high. Nothing you can do when your feet are pointing up at the board and you're just tipping over. Real shame, like you said.
That's harsh.
Yeah, I think they're probably a little bit harsh, but yeah, he was quite far over.
4s are bought. They are marking a lot on entry, I've noticed, in Barcelona this week. Actually looking at the first 2/3 of the dives, what's happening going into the water, which is the way that the amateurs like me can do that. You can see when you go in whether the legs are straight or not, the feet are going the right time or not. Reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck for Yenkler Aguirre. 3.3 degree of difficulty. Just waiting for some birds to fly past the diving point.
Oh, much more like it. Much better. What a dive from Jenkler. What a dive indeed. So Cherubini making, you know, a little bit of a mincemeat of his, but Jenkler coming out here into the water. Absolutely no splash. Now, what will the judges give him? I think it's worth 9.5 at least. Yes, look at that. Stand up, cheer, clap your hands. There we go, great dive.
9.5s and a 9 for Yenkler Aguirre. He's too far adrift to really be in medal contention. This man, however, most certainly is in medal contention. 3rd place after round number 4. 2 more dives to come. Solid one right at the end. This is the one that may be sorting out the destiny of a medal or otherwise for Tom Daly. Back, 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists in the pike position. We've seen him do the 3.7 very well. Now he needs to execute to the best of his ability, taking into account the injury problems he's got. A 3.6. Big mark. Looking at Daly, possibly, just possibly, giving him a medal.
Oh, It's better. It's better than it was in the semis. He's having trouble on the takeoff. You remember that this is the dive that Tom was awarded a re-dive on at the Olympics. So he doesn't quite straighten his legs on the takeoff here. So your elbows comes a little bit close to the tower. He's running out of room. He squares it up as best he can on the finish. That's probably only going to get 6.5. Look at the strain on the body. He's lost it on the takeoff there. I know he wants to work on this dive. He hasn't had a chance to do the work this season because of injury and illness. Will that cost him a medal? Will that cost Tom Daley a medal?
6.5s and 6s, 68.40 Tom Daley. And if he's going to get a medal, he's going to have to do something quite spectacular in the last round, as indeed he did to make the final from the semi-final. Now, this is huge, absolutely massive. 4.1 forward, 4.5. This is so much risk attached to it. It's gold if he gets it right.
Yeah, gold without a shadow of a doubt, even with a dive to go. Chubo just telling the world he's back, and not just back. Look at this, 4.1. He's the only diver that can do this. Everyone else struggles to do this in the tuck position. He has just absolutely smashed it. Oh my goodness me, I do not have the superlatives to describe how amazing that dive is. He's going to go sailing over 100 points. He's going to be miles in front. He probably doesn't even need to do his last dive. 110! 110.
Well, it's not quite the 120 we were talking about earlier on, but 110 is pretty darn good. 9s across the board, nearly up to 500 before we even go into round number 6. That's unbelievable. Remember, the gold medal for the Olympics is one with 568. And on that occasion, Chubo got 566, but he's going to go beyond that if he gets his last round correct. German Sanchez, well, he'll see what Tom Daley did, and will know that the door is ajar for third place. Reverse 3.5 somersaults with tucks, only worth 3.3 though. So it's not a big tariff dive, but if he gets it right, he'll be looking at 70 to 80 points.
Sanchez definitely wants a medal today. His coach just saying he opened his chest as he went in there, which he did. However, that is solid from Sanchez. Now, we would probably say the second favourite of the Mexicans, but he is on fire today. Open the door. That'll get him eights, I think, across the board. If they get him over 80 points, it will be close whether it is. So it's not the 90 point, which is definitely going to put him in the mix. 80 points will keep it. Yeah, OK.
Yeah, right on the cusp. 79.20. He goes above Tom Daley by 8 points. Just German Sanchez. Daley back to at least 4th probably after this round. So it is Chubo, Sanchez and Daley 1, 2, 3 at the moment. We still have 4 more divers to come. Victor Minibayev back 3.5 somersaults with pike. Hasn't really managed to extricate himself from the regions of 9, 10 or 11. But this, if we can get it right, will probably move him up a couple of places compared to the other divers we've seen so far.
Oh, it's good. I think he's left it a little bit too late, pulling the dive in there at the last minute. He's got such a... This is the dive. He didn't move too far away from the diving board on this one, though, Bob, interestingly enough. That's a good distance, and that gives him the control he needs. So as he comes up there, he did move his arms a little bit too soon as he was going back, but that's good. A little bit short, 7.5. 81 is better, though, isn't it?
81 is much better, and could get him a top 7 place. Move up a place or two. Sasha Klein. 6th place, lower down than you think he might be, but there isn't a lot between 3rd and 6th, and we're both 3rd and 4th. They're thereabouts, but not nailing their dives. A chance for Sasha to do likewise with his 3.3 this.
Oh, crucial for Sasha, and he's absolutely pulled it out of the bag. Wow. Now, that's going to be interesting to look at the leaderboard after this round. Sasha is... Wow, great dive. He is very precise with his diving, lots of experience. He's going to get 9s, maybe sneak a 9.5 from some of the more generous judges, and that's going to put him right up there in the top 4 for sure.
Put him second.
Wow.
Put him second at the moment anyway, above Sanchez and above Daley. Only half a point between Klein and Sanchez. And 8 points behind Sanchez is Daley. Now, here comes Ivan Garcia's 4.1. Remember, if he gets this, he could go up to 3rd place with this dive, if he gets 106, he'll go fourth.
It's a big ask, though. Even just to make this dive is incredible.
Well, inward 4.5 somersaults with tuck. 111 will put him second, but I think that's wishful thinking perhaps on my part. But go on, Ivan, we know you can do it. You did it in the semi-final.
It's good. It is very, very good. That, in the semi-final, he got 7.5 and 8. I think he might sneak those here. That is incredible. I can't believe how far he moves away from the diving board. He still manages inward 4.5. It is very, very clean on the entry. Is he a little bit low on the water? Of course he is, because it's inward 4.5. Now it's, well, round 5 is where it's all happening. We've seen Bo smash his front 4.5 piked at 4.1, and then Garcia has just nailed his inward.
104.55.
Wow, there you go.
There's my boy. Ivan Garcia, 411.55. Sadly for us, he goes above Tom Daly, just in behind German Sanchez, and that's only 6 points behind the bronze medal. But of course, we have to take into account David Budaya has not had his dive yet. And his round 5 dive is a back 3.5 somersaults, 3.6. Can't go into first place. 73.95 though will take him into second, and then we are set up for a round 6, aren't we?
Oh yes, we are indeed. Budaya unfaltering, just like he was last summer. He just didn't seem to be bothered by all the amazing dives going on around him, and again just following Garcia's inward 4.5. Budaya there just hanging out, chilling out, and just nailing his back 3.5 pike when he needs it. If he gets over 90 points, that's going to put him right in the business end of the field. Still in the top 3, and we are set up for a climax at the finish.
We always are on the 10, aren't we? There's always a twist, there's always a turn. There's usually a few somersaults.
Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
91.8 for David Budaya, and puts him into second. That's where he was before. But look at that gap between first and second. I think we can pretty much already anoint Jubo as the world champion again. David Budaya second, but Tom Daly is 9 points behind the bronze. That's all. You're shaking your head, Leon Taylor. Why are you shaking your head?
It's tough. It's a tough last round. Big dives in the last round.
But we pretty much know, or we pretty much hope, we pretty much think he will nail his 3.3.
He will, and the others will nail their 3.6s, and mathematically it's tough. You know, Tom saves his favourite dive to last, which is exactly what he needs to do. The 5th round dive, unfortunately, will have cost him a medal here today.
Vadim Kaptur, nearly done. Been through the preliminaries and the semi-final, and this is his last dive of the competition. Reverse 3.5 somersaults with tuck worth 3.3. And he would hope, maybe, to get into the top 6. 8th place going into the final round for Vadim Kaptur.
Oh, he's nailed all his dives today. Fantastic. 6 out of 6 for Kaptur. Now he snuck into the final there. Maybe some people will say he was quite lucky with Lin Yui bombing out in the semi-finals. A few other big names not making it through. Kaptur sneaking in 12th place, and he's done himself proud today. Good work. 4:47.
Good marks. 4th he was in the Olympics, remember. And probably not going to finish quite as high. In fact, he certainly won't finish as high here, but nonetheless, he's done very well indeed. Alexander Bondar. Now, he finishes with a 3.3. It's a reverse 3.5 somersaults. 7th place for him, was on the cusp of the medals a while ago, but 3.3 is probably not quite going to take him where he needs to be.
It is a good finish. A little over rotation at the end. You can see the coach shaking their head. He lost it on the 5th round dive. Interestingly enough, this is the dive we're going to see from Tom Daly in a few divers' time. And the dive preceding this one was the same one that Bondar used the twist, which he also faltered on. So it's interesting. He's finishing on a 3.3, not doing a very good job. Of course, all the other athletes have used this dive as well. You've got to go in different directions, covering all the groups of dive. Some good stuff from Bondar out there today.
7s for 69.30 for Bondar. And he finished with 464.75. Talking about divers we'll see a lot more of in the future. Certainly the next Worlds and the Europeans. Sergei Nazin of Russia. Not have been quite on form today, but did well to make the final. and 11th place as he goes into the last round. And again, the back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists, 3.6.
Oh, what a finish from Nazin, just showing how good he is. He's going to be we're going to be commentating on him for years to come. Beautiful takeoff, really strong, very neat into the twist, squeezes into that pike shape, lots going on, great entry into the water. Shame that his others were a bit shaky, because that's a strong finish. There you go, 91.8 to finish.
Absolutely, 410.10 for Nazin, and that's one name to take note of for the future, as indeed is this young man, youngest of the competitors. Makes Tom sound quite old at 19, doesn't it? 18 years of age. Andrea Cherubini of Italy, back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twist to finish with, 3.2. Fairly lowly tariff, but he'll be hoping to get up into the 370, 380 range in terms of points.
Yeah, still lots to come from this young Italian. The youngest in the contest, certainly youngest in the final. Yeah, there's a future for this young man. He needs to add a twist to this dive. So this is the 1.5 twist, 2.5 somersaults. You'll see up next lots of 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists. In fact, we've seen one already so far and a couple in the previous rounds. So yeah, 73 points to finish, 370. He'll be disappointed with that because he's much better in the semi-final to make it through.
Yep, in that he got 451. So yeah, quite a way down on his semi-final score. So an absolute storming last round from Miekle Aguirre, but hasn't got enough room, enough points to be able to make up too many places here. Back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists again, 3.6 degree of difficulty. Can he work his way up from 10th, where he currently is in round 6?
Yeah, solid finish. A little bit of splash as he goes in, but he was vertical, which is the key to persuading the judges to punch in those high marks on theirs. 3.6 degree of difficulty. Lots of divers electing to finish on the twist dive. The twist dive is very complex, carries a high degree of difficulty. Probably get 7.5s on this. Yep.
7.5s across the board. A total of 81 exactly for Miekle Aguirre. So our last glimpse of the world's sexiest man, according to Attitude magazine. Tom Daley stepping up to the plate, stepping on the board for the last time. And will be happy he got through both the prelims and the semis, and reasonably happy with his showing here. On the cusp of a medal, but round 5 pretty much did for him. Round 6, though, he can consolidate with hopefully a good finish. Could be up in the 500 range after this reverse 3.5 somersaults, 3.3. We know this is almost his banker dive.
Oh, there you go, the commentator's curse. It's normally his banker dive, but as he enters the water, you see Tonya Kaczor did fabulous earlier in the week. Tom, obviously, the tricep is going to be sore. You can see the heavy strapping here. Just letting go of his legs a little bit early, ends up short, feels the water on his back as he goes in. So the judges aren't going to go with that. It's a poor finish from Tom. He will be disappointed. There we go. The expression from Tonya Kaczor, his teammate, says it all, and there's Tom. What a great job out there today. Rubbish preparation with injury and illness, and a fantastic showing to be in the final. He said it was a miracle that he made it through, and it's good to see him there today.
61.05, total of 470 for Daley. He can now start to think about and concentrate on the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh for the divers next year. Swimmers will be in Glasgow, the divers will be in Edinburgh, and Tom Daley has almost exactly a year to prepare for that. The Commonwealth Games will be happening in a year's time. Here's the class act. Pretty much already got the gold round his neck. Just to confirm it, though, here's Jubo, back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists, 3.6. He's been exemplary so far.
Astonishing work out there from Bo. Who would have thought yesterday in the semi-final we'd have been seeing him playing around in 18th the first 2 rounds. Here he is today, stamped his authority on the competition from the get-go. In fact, he was a bit shakier in his first round, but the second round he has not looked back. 2 new dives in his programme. The 1 new dive, the forward 4.5 in the pike position. He scored 110.7, which is, you know, there's only one diver ever scored more than that in competition. That was Matthew Mitchum in the Olympic final in 2008 when I fell off my chair. Wow, Chubo, a masterclass out there today, defending his world title and, well, right in the wrong that he felt in London a year ago.
Look at that total. 581 is 15 points more than he got when he got Olympic silver in London. 566 on that occasion, 581. David Budaya, by the way, got 568 to win gold in London last August. German Sanchez, 4th place at the moment. 3.8 attached to this, so yeah, it's quite a lot of points if he gets this right. Is she trying to hide for cover or what?
It's very warm there.
Maybe she doesn't want to look. Forward 2.5 somersaults, 3 twists, pike position for German Sanchez, 3.8. This has got a lot of points attached to it if he gets this right.
Oh, and he does get it right. I just love the Mexicans. German there just finishing 3.8, forward 2.5, 3 twists. Look at this, here we are, pop, triple twist, 1, 2, 3, and then you've got to find your way into a pike shape and then get your hands, and he does it all in the right order. He's going to get 8s on that, and wow, will that be enough to put pressure on the others, and will he stand on the podium? Let's wait and see.
Well, the marks are not confirmed yet. We have the provisory marks up on our screen, which I won't give to you yet because they're obviously yet to be confirmed, and they may change. I think it's been done down a bit here too. No, they are official now. 8s and 7.5. You've got another 8 there, will help him a bit, but 89.30 takes him above Tom Daley, and for the time being into 2nd place. Victor Minibayev, another diver who's just a little bit below his best today. Not quite on a par with what he showed us yesterday when he got 480 points. Well, today he's not going to get that. He's on 363 now, so he's going to be about 30, 40, maybe 50 points shy of that. Back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists with pike, 9th place. Competitor number 9, Victor Minibayev, going into the last round.
Oh, wow, that's a great finish there. Marginally over-rotating as he goes in the water. Now, he is someone to watch for the future. I did call it today, said that he was going to win a medal. He's not going to win a medal today. But he can actually do this dive. In fact, he's done a dive more difficult than this. He's added a twist to this dive. He can do a back 2.5 somersaults with 3.5 twists. He's obviously not doing it here today, but I've seen it in training. It is impressive. It's going to be in his programme from here to come. And when it is, he'll be tough to beat.
On to the medal contenders. Still a medal contender. Can't win gold. Nobody else can now. But he can get silver. Now, Sasha Klein on his 3.6 back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists. Needs to be in the 90s, really, to put pressure on David Budaya. Can he get 90s? Of course he can. 3.6 back 2.5.
Will he get 90 points with that? Oh, the coach doesn't know either. He hasn't really, he's been expressionless. There's German thinking it's going to be really good. So squeezing into the twist there. He just needs that vertical entry. Does he wash over? Is it going to be too much? It's going to be oh so close. Let's wait and see. Such athletic. He's been great out there today, Sasha. He really does deserve to stand on that podium, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be so tight. Chubo is miles in front. Look at that. He's squeezing into the twist there, moving the arms in, waiting for those scores, waiting for the scores.
There we go. No, here they go. 90. He's got a 90. He's above German Sanchez into 2nd place. Exactly 90. 8.5 and 8. He has to have the agonizing wait now to see whether he's got a medal. Whew. It's Garcia and Budaya still to go. And even Garcia has a 3.8 here. 97 will put him above Sasha Klein on this 3.8. Off you go, Ivan.
No, I think he's too far over for 97, but that is a monumental effort at the end there. He probably attacked it a little bit too much. Here we go. Into the end of the platform, pops up into the triple twist, chasing after the pike shape, gets hold of it, just rotating a little bit over. I wonder what he's going to get. Wow, what a climax to the end of this men's platform. I think it's, well, I give him 9s because it's an impressive dive. I think he's only going to get 8s, maybe 8.5 if they're feeling generous. What's that going to do? Let's wait.
We wait. They're having problems with the touchpads at the moment. Here we go. 5:02.75, 91.20. He is not going to get a medal today. Even Garcia, just a bit shy, 6 points shy of Sasha Klein, who has a medal for definite. He's going to get another bronze by the looks of things, unless David Badaya fails or is substandard on this last dive. To back up the silver medal that David Badaya thinks he has, and we think he has, he needs 72.15 on this back, 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists. So, Chubo, the winner. Sasha Klein at the moment in second. German Sanchez looks like the man who's going to miss out. Here comes Badaya's last dive.
Oh, it's a little bit heavy on the finish. A little bit of splash being thrown up. He only needed sevens. Only needed sevens to make it. I think that will be enough. So there, Sasha winning the bronze. I'm sure Badaya in silver. Yes, it will be enough. Not the best finish we've seen from David Badaya, but he has done a fantastic job out there today. Some people thought, will he come back after being Olympic champion and be featuring here? And the answer to that is yes, he is. There we go, 5:17.
Yeah, not going to back up the gold he got in London, but it's a silver nonetheless. David Badaya is always solid these days. Wasn't that solid actually in the build-up to the final in London? In fact, he was very lucky to make it, but nonetheless, David Badaya has done it again. But the margin between first and second is enormous. German Sanchez missing out by about 2 points in the end. Sasha Klein picks up yet another world bronze. And we'll look at the final standings. Chubo, 581. That's phenomenal. David Badaya second, Sasha Klein third. And look at that, Tom Daley in 6th place. He was always on that front caption all the way through. Even Garcia just pipping him to 5th place. But Tom Daley, 470.60. And I can assure you, in a year's time for the Commonwealth Games, you'll see a better Tom Daley.
Well, no medal for Tom Daley, but a fantastic and a very brave effort. And that marks the end of his season, so at least now he gets to rest. That's it for the diving, but the swimming finals continue this evening. Coverage of that on the red button at 5 p.m. One of our best medal hopes, Jazz Carlin, goes in the final of the women's 400-metre freestyle at 5 to 6. Tomorrow we have the first of our evening highlights programmes on BBC Two at 6. Gabby Logan is going to be joined by Becky Adlington and Mark Foster. So the swimming continues until Sunday, but from myself, from Leon and from Bob, that's it from us. Have a lovely Sunday. Goodbye.
Women's football next on BBC Two.